Let's go out to Sandy, Utah, where JD is visiting with today's Super Collector. Hey there, JD.
Hey, John. Claire's not here?
No.
Oh. Jane, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John.
We're glad that you're filling in for Claire. We're out here in Sandy, Utah with Mike Westley, who since 1989 has been you've been collecting since
a lot younger than that. That's
three
right.
years old, but it hit full force in '89.
That's right. You know, I've always loved cars. And when I was 3, my parents started buying them for me. When I was little, I used to be able to tell all of their friends that were coming over to the house by what kind of car they drove.
So like Mr. and Mrs. Bonneville would drive up and here come the Impalas.
Like that. Yeah. Something like that. And I always had lots of cars. In 1989, my dad and I ran into a big lot, and we started actually collecting and finding the old ones. We kind of took it off from there.
And Mike's collection has grown to over 1,500 cars, and we're going to take a look at just a handful of them today. But it's great because it's a collection that he's been doing with his dad.
We've done it together.
And we're going to take a closer look, John and Jane, when we come back.
Yeah, he's got some really cool ones, too, from the Dukes of Hazzard and Smokey and the Bandit and stuff. So we'll check all those out a little bit later, JD.
John, he has Boss Hogg's car.
Oh, you don't get to see that every day.
No.
That's right.
All right, we'll check in with the two of you later on. Thanks, JD. Collection there, JD. All right, let's get...
Hey, John, you know, there have been a number of miniature car makers, but few have been as popular as Hot Wheel cars. Look at this. They came out with their first set in 1967. These are the original 10 cars that came out, complete with the collector buttons.
Yeah.
And, John, you probably had one of these.
Oh,
if you were
I remember
a really
those.
cool collector, you would have a collector case where you would store your cars as well as your collector buttons. And what's interesting is our collector not only has the cars, but a lot of the original collector buttons. We're going to take a closer look at miniature cars from Sandy, Utah, coming up next on Personal Effects. That's right, John and Jane. We're back with Mike Westley, and he's been collecting since he was 3 years old with his dad. Now, you collect a number of miniature cars. Which ones do you collect?
5 major ones. Matchbox, Hot Wheels, Pocket Cars, Ertl, and Majorette.
And Majorette.
Right.
Now, we're going to take a look. Of course, we always like to see the one that started the collection.
This is my first car here.
And this is a Fiat.
This is a Fiat. It's a 70s Majorette Fiat. One of my favorites because it had the dog.
Yeah, look at that. Do you see the dog?
Oh, yeah, you get the dog.
In the back window. And this really got the thing rolling.
That's the first one. That's the first one my dad said. I bought this one for you, #1.
That's great. Now, over the years, you've purchased some single pieces, and others you'll buy in lots, right?
Right. What really got the collection going off was in '89. We were at a swap meet, found 2 Apple boxes full of cars. $75 for the 2 Apple boxes. The value was incredible. We found some very, very valuable pieces inside that collection, and that got us going into the serious collecting.
Now tell us about the pocket cars.
These are the pocket cars here. This has got to be probably my favorite collection. They ran 75 through the 80s. They're different because they have a lot of detail on them. Pocket cars made the cars that a lot of the other manufacturers wouldn't make. Some of the Cadillacs, the Rolls-Royce.
Yeah, the Rolls-Royce, which is very cool. And there were, as you said, there were a lot of details.
There's a lot of details. This is the Cadillac Fleetwood. And if you turn it around and take a look at the license plate on the back there.
Can you see that?
You can actually read where it says Cadillac in there.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
And if you look closely, let me just spin this around. There's actually, you can see Fleetwood on the side. And you really like the details.
This was probably my favorite set, yeah.
Wow. Now, John, you had mentioned the Dukes of Hazzard car.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. And how much was the price? 2 for $1.22.
Yeah.
Did you pay more or less?
That's probably what we paid for that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Now tell us about these.
The Ertl Car Company did a lot of stuff for promotions. You can see over here. This is the oh, come on, Michael. Dukes of Hazzard line. Okay, thank you very much.
I was like, okay.
This is Boss Hogg's Cadillac. You can see on there.
Look at this, John. Remember that?
Yeah, he's got the horns on the front.
With the horns on the front end.
These cars, the funny-looking ones up here, were from the movie Blade Runner. We've got the Blues Brothers car over here, and
Smokey and the Bandit.
And this line right down here is from the movie The Cannonball Run.
That's wow. Now, Ertl, I've really not heard Ertl.
They're an American car company out of Dyersville, Iowa. Most of these would be late 70s, early 80s, somewhere right around there.
Are they still producing them?
Yeah, they are. They are.
Okay, now probably the most famous, the oldest, is Matchbox. Tell us a little bit about Matchbox.
Matchbox started off in 53, okay? The reason they were called Matchbox, and I'll pick one of these up and show you, is because when they first came out, instead of bubble packs like they do today, they came in a little box.
Wow, and I'm sure it's unusual to find the box.
It is hard to find the box with the car, yes.
And if you look, this is the oldest one that you have in your collection.
That is. Now, this is a 1956 D-type Jaguar, valued somewhere between $50 and $100.
Is that about the most valuable, the highest price you can get for something like this?
It is. Well, no, it just depends on how many there were. Some of them could go up to $500.
Really?
If you could find a real rare one. And the ones down here on the corner, as we can see, are all about 1956, late 50s, and then it's in through the 60s here.
And it's funny, too, John, looking through this, you see cars that you've had.
Yeah.
Like I had this one. I looked at that and went, hey, I had that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, I probably smashed it up because it got into an accident.
Yeah, right.
And another thing you have that's very interesting and rare is this manual, this
catalog, this International Collector's Catalog. These just disappear. Kids get these, and they just disappear, and they're gone. And it's wonderful to be able to look through here and what they offer. It gives me a stance on what I want to try and find. So I can know what I'm looking for.
It's interesting, too, your dad, who collects this with you, said if you have a price guide, you don't necessarily need to get a new one every year.
Right.
Add 10%?
Add 10%. It appreciates by about 10% every year.
A year. So if you have a catalog that's a couple of years old, add 10% a year.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike, thanks for showing us
Thank you very much.
Your miniature car collection.
JD, I was doing the same thing as we were looking through it. I was going, yep, had that one. Oh, there it is.
Right. That's the way the minute I walked in, I started looking around.
I always wondered what happened to them, and now I know. Mike's got them.
Mike has them.
Hey, Mike, JD, thank you both very much. Appreciate that.